WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello, everyone. It's Monday afternoon at 4, so it must be the Community Bell Show. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a lovely Monday afternoon. It's sunny in Detroit. Can't ask for much more than that, and it isn't really cold, so we're having a good day. We've got a very, very special guest today, my good friend and friend to many of you, the Honorable Sylvia Santana, Michigan State Senator. Good afternoon, Sylvia Santana. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good afternoon, Miss Edna Bell. Things are wonderful. It's a sunny day in Michigan, and we are just feeling the brisk fall come right, with every morning.
Yes, it got here kind of fast, and it started getting dark in the morning and dark in the evening awfully fast too. But I guess we won't complain. We are not in Florida with the hurricane, so there's a blessing somewhere in there. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we are so glad to have you with us this afternoon. For those of you who don't know, we have something called Black Women in Michigan Politics. That is the brainchild of the Honorable Sylvia Santana. And so she's here to talk about that, talk about this wonderful luncheon that we have planned for Black women in Michigan politics and anyone else who would like to support Black women in Michigan politics. Sylvia, talk about it some.
Yes, well, thank you, Edna, so much. And let me just say, coming off of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation weekend in DC, really just provides that synergy for segueing into Black women in Michigan politics. We are a nonpartisan organization, so that means that it doesn't matter if you're Republican, Independent, Democrat, Green Party, what have you. We just want to make sure that Black women across the state of Michigan have a space where they can provide synergies around policy issues that matter to their communities, and also have a way to be encouraged and inspired to continue to run for office. When you think about our organization, we have identified over 200 plus women across the state of Michigan who are elected at the local level, state, as well as, we do have federal level now, but that will change. But definitely women across the board who are elected to all sorts of positions throughout our region in our 83 counties. And so it's just really nice to be able to get together and help to support everyone.
It really is. And you mentioned something I'm sure most people don't know. We have that many Black women who are elected to different positions in Michigan. When we started this project, 2019, I guess, was our first luncheon. And
Yes.
then COVID hit and everything stopped. And so as you people want to know that the first one was in 2019 in October, and then we had planned to do it every year. However, COVID put a stop to that, but we are back to it. We were not going to let COVID defeat us. We are back and we're going to be stronger than ever. But when we started putting together the directory of Black women, we knew there were a lot, but even we were surprised when we started seeing the number of Black women that are elected to positions in Michigan. And when we say elected to position, we're talking about boards of education, we're talking about university and community college boards, clerks, you name it, mayors,
Park commissioners.
all sorts of positions that Black women are involved in and elected to in the state of Michigan and making a difference. But what we thought about is that these people need to be connected. They need to know each other. They need to know that if I'm going someplace on the western side of the state, that there's somebody Black over there who is elected, a woman who is elected to a position. So it has been a great, great comfort, I think, to all the women in Michigan. And we want to continue to do that and continue to increase those numbers.
Absolutely. I would just like to say too, far too often in these spaces that we occupy and we're seated at the table, sometimes we're the only ones with only one of us within that space. But definitely that encouragement, that mentorship, and that leadership and support from other women definitely becomes very helpful to just navigate different challenges and also different opportunities. I mean, it's nice to have, clerks across the state perhaps to get together and talk about the issues that matter to them, and definitely have some mentorship perhaps to help support those efforts. And that's all elected positions as well.
Absolutely. And when you mention clerks, clerks in this day and age have gotten to be so much more visible and talked about than ever before. The clerks are catching, I shouldn't say this, but hell in many cases because of the former president and the lies that he has told. And so it's important that we find ways to at least encourage those clerks around the state and give them, just say, you need to talk to another one. There's one over here you can talk to. Or if you're having certain issues, there's probably a clerk someplace else that's having the same issue. And you guys can talk about how you resolve those issues and how you work through it and how you work with the people who work with you and for you in those positions. Because as this election comes up in November, clerks are going to be not going. They are already are very important, but
Yes.
we need to be careful and watch them and have their back and take care of them because they're having some awful big issues thrown at them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think definitely when you think about just the last few years of elections, there have been challenges. And so, we even had an oversight committee who I actually had the liberty to sit on that committee to talk about some of the things that the last president's administration were challenging when it came to the elections in Detroit. And so that's something that, really having a seat at that table and being able to talk about those issues was really important. So I know it's going to just propel itself during this election cycle, as you mentioned before. But we're so excited about Black women in Michigan politics. We are having our event this upcoming week on the 14th of October. And that will be from 11:30 to 1:30. And even if you're not elected to office, it's still an opportunity to come and learn, from those panelists who are going to be talking about some of the challenges, the opportunities, and some of the, things that they've had to overcome during perhaps campaigns or even their time being elected to office. And so we have a robust panel of women. We took a different stance this year. We decided to go, at the forefront of the table, looking at women who are sitting in key leading positions, whether they be mayors of cities, chairs of commissions, as well as looking at some of the college regents as well. So we have on our panel this upcoming weeks, we have Chairwoman Alicia Bell from Wayne County, which she is the chair of the largest county in our state. So we'll be hearing from her. In addition, yay.
Just a little partial.
Just a little partial. Yep, that's all right. Look, you birthed her. You got to be partial. And raised her too. But we will have Chairwoman Alicia Bell from Wayne County Commission. We also will have as well, we will have Brenda Moore, who is the mayor of Saginaw. And great opportunity to talk to her. I've talked to her a couple of times over the past few years, and really I thought it'd be good to kind of hear from her what it is to be the mayor of Saginaw and some of the challenges that they face as well. And opportunities, especially, now that we have this rainfall of money in our communities. How can we best position ourselves moving forward to make our municipalities what we want them to be? And then lastly, we also have Eunice Jeffries, who is as a regent at Eastern Michigan University, my alma mater. And so we're super excited to have her as well, because we really haven't had a perspective from being a regent. And so I'd love to hear some of the challenges that she has had to face in decision making, and also see how they as a board have been able to overcome those challenges for Eastern Michigan University. But that's our first panel that we will have being moderated and discussing some of the broad issues that impact their roles. And then next, we thought, we always talk about the women who are at the forefront of government and politics. And so, having a discussion with our team, we thought it'd be great to talk to those women who are behind the scenes. Far too often, especially in politics, you see the drivers of the engine are always a Black woman. I'm just going to be frank.
Yes.
And so, oftentimes we're behind the scenes making it all operate, and, never, taking that light from the elected official. But definitely, it's important to highlight those individuals who are really trailblazers and have been on the forefront of a lot of decisions that don't necessarily get the credit. And or acknowledged for the work that they do publicly. And so
we know how important they are, because those of us who have been in those positions, and you also know, that without your staff and the people who help you get things done, you can't do much of anything. That though having a great staff is critical to you being successful in your position.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to have a great team of people around you, because definitely you're not doing it by yourself. And
Absolutely.
so, and so having that acknowledgement is really important. And so we wanted to make sure that we were highlighting during with our second panel, some of those women. So we have coming to the table Shaquila Myers, who is a part of Governor Gretchen Whitmer's administration and also has been a key person to support our lieutenant governor as well as our Senate minority leader. So she has been in Lansing for many years, but definitely is someone who we want to hear from and just kind of hear her overall perspective on things. And also we have Linda Wesley with the city of Detroit. Linda Wesley has served several city council members in the city of Detroit, the largest city in our state. And we wanted to hear from her. She was one to work with Councilwoman Brenda Jones, the president at the time. And definitely she has worked with other city council folks as well. And we want to hear from her and just hear her perspective on being in this space as well. And lastly, we may have a bonus behind the scenes woman, Marseille Allen, who also has worked with the likes of the UAW and also serves as one of our electorates and so we want to hear from her also. So we'll have perhaps one more individual that we will be highlighting during this actual event.
And it's going to be a great event. And as Sylvia mentioned, it isn't just for Black elected women. It's
That's
for
right.
all Black women, all women, period. You can be anybody else. You don't have to be Black to come. I want anybody to know that.
Yes.
Everybody is invited. Everybody is invited. And we want to make sure that those people who are considering getting into an elected position, thinking about, well, should I run? What should I run for? It's helpful for those people because it helps them get a real life perspective on what it's like to be an elected official. The kinds of things you really do have to do and know to be an elected official. So we have people who came last time who were thinking about running for office, and some did run for office. And so it's important that they have a space they know they can go to and people they can go to ask the real serious questions and the honest questions and get honest answers about, okay, what is it really like to be a Black woman elected to an office anywhere in the state of Michigan, or for that matter, anywhere in the country. But we're talking about Michigan, of course, but what's it like? What kind of challenges are there? What kind of things should I be prepared to receive as a Black woman who's elected? What kind of things should I be ready to give? What kind of things should I be ready to accept from people who look at me and sometimes just by looking at me, just completely consider that I don't know what I'm talking about. And you have to help them. You have to help them understand, okay, my dear friend, let me share with you. And bring them on in, sometimes slowly, sometimes not as slow, sometimes gently, sometimes not as gently. But we have to bring them in to help them understand that we know what we're talking about. Been there, done that many times, and we're good at what we do.
Absolutely, and you bring up a good point, and that was the vision behind this, is really giving women a space to fail safely, if you will, or fail forward, I like to say, because I also believe that sometimes you need that extra support to know how to, move forward. Some of the women who run for office come out of the grassroots activist space and don't necessarily know what's involved with the actual policy making or being on a board or, Robert's Rules of Order, those things that are really important to being able to just continue to move forward and have that education that's necessary to make sure you can have those soft conversations and know what you're talking about. So I think overall, this is a great opportunity to continue to grow and just help support women overall when it comes to elected office. But we also have a wonderful guest speaker. She is running now for Supreme Court Justice in our state. We will have the wonderful voice of a colleague of mine, Kyra Bolton, who's going to bring us some great words of wisdom and talk about her own story. And I think that is just so wonderful that, she's a new mom and she's taking on these endeavors. And I think, oftentimes women feel like, oh my God, I have a baby and I can't do this. And, definitely those conversations are real for a lot of women. And so I think her perspective will definitely be something that I'm looking forward to hearing, and just hearing her journey forward as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And after this next song, we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about Kyra Bolton, who's running for Supreme Court Justice in Michigan. But we're going to have a quick intermission here. You're going to hear some wonderful music. For those of you who don't know, our owner, Sandy Rose, directs a choir, and she does wonderful work. They do great concerts. We're going to have to go to one of her concerts, Sylvia. You would love her. So
absolutely.
After this message, we'll be right back. can hardly wait. Perfect. I can hardly wait till October 14th when we have our wonderful luncheon. It's going to be a great, great afternoon. Now, Sylvia, talk some more about our Supreme Court nominee, Kyra Bolton.
Yeah, so Kyra Bolton is currently serving the 35th District of Southfield in the Michigan legislature. But prior to that, Kyra is a graduate from Grand Valley State University, as well as she got her Juris Doctorate from, I want to say, Detroit Mercy. And so she has been just a civil litigation attorney and also interning with the Supreme Court Justice as a student, and really has taken the liberty to position herself for a run for the state Supreme Court. I think it's a great opportunity, a great time for her, especially considering that we haven't had the opportunity to get a Black woman on the state Supreme Court here in our state.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that she's not the first who's tried. We had Denise Langford Morris,
yes,
as well as Deborah Thomas.
Yes.
Yes. So we have had women who have strategically positioned themselves, and Kyra stands on their shoulders, I believe, and definitely I believe that she is in a key position now to do so. And I think that, the state of Michigan recognizes that we need to look like the state of Michigan. And so I'm super excited for her and her journey moving forward.
Absolutely. So we're just real excited. We're looking forward to her being successful. We're just going to claim it.
Yes.
she's going to be successful. That's what is going to be important. Now, the luncheon is at Washtenaw Community College.
Yes.
On the 14th. And people will say, well, why is it way up there? Because we're the state of Michigan. And it would be nice to have it, down here close to where we are here in Detroit and Wayne County. But the state is much bigger than that. And so
we lost you, Edna. Oh, there you are.
Here I am. We need to move it around so that everybody gets a chance to not have to drive a long way. First of all, but it's great to have it in different communities. And so we're excited that we're going to be at Washtenaw Community College. They do a wonderful job with our luncheon, with the facility. We'll have vendors. And so you'll be able to get a couple of things that you might be interested in as ladies. And so that's going to be a great time. But we're just real excited about having these great ladies who are going to talk to us about their positions and about all the things that they're involved in. And we can't leave out our third wheel of our organization, and that is Lynette Finley. Lynette is the clerk of Ypsilanti Township. We were talking about clerks. Lynette was going to be on with us today, but she's getting ready for an election, which is only a few weeks away, and she got tied up in some things that she had to take care of. And so we'll try to get Lynette on another time. But Lynette is the clerk of Ypsilanti Township. Give me a little history about Lynette, Sylvia.
Well, I've known Lynette quite some time. She actually was one of our advisors when my husband and I went to Eastern Michigan University many, many years ago. But Lynette comes out of the education space, helping to support students who are struggling, who, I don't want to classify, come from urban areas, but typically our students struggle when it comes to education. So I was one of those students as well. So she was a resource for a lot of kids to move through the finish line at Eastern Michigan University for many years. And then she transitioned from there to run for the Superior Charter Township, which is close to Ypsilanti. Yes. That's okay.
Yes, I got it wrong. That's right. She'll get me.
That's all right.
Superior, that's right.
Yeah, Superior Charter Township. Some of us never heard of it before. It's Ipsy to me.
Yes,
but
yes.
But yeah, she's been the clerk there for a couple terms now. And so this is one of those terms as well for her. So we're excited to have her be a part of this as well. She actually started an organization that still is in existence to support women who are in the higher education space as well. So something similar to what we do with Black women in Michigan politics, but for higher ed. So
Oh, wow.
we are, so we're super excited to continue to move forward and support women across the state of Michigan. And yes, so yeah.
So we are,
But
we are looking forward to this. Anyone who's interested, where can they get tickets, Sylvia?
yes, you can actually purchase your tickets on Eventbrite if you just type in Black Women in Michigan Politics. You can purchase your tickets there. They are 65. We had to go up a little bit for inflation, but it's well worth every bit of your $65. You will receive a directory that actually is capturing all of the women who are elected across the state. And so just to build those bridges and make those connections as well. But I do believe that it's well worth your time. You'll enjoy yourself. You'll enjoy the fellowship. I definitely encourage people, although it starts at 11:30, to get there a little earlier so that you do have that time to network with other women. I know the first one we had in 2019, everyone said, "Oh, we needed more time to network," and
Yeah.
so I definitely encourage women to get there early to really have that time, because we do have a tight schedule, but we want to make sure that we can definitely take that time and just share those nuggets of gold and information, and definitely make sure that women are claiming their reign, as the theme says this year. So.
Absolutely. And to have those women be able to connect with each other and exchange cards and talk about the positions they have and why they ran for office and how they got elected. And sometimes they didn't win the first time, but boy, the second time they came back. And so all those stories that women have are so important in terms of sharing with other women who might be interested in running for office, or women who might be interested in supporting women in office. It's great for them to have those connections and to be able to talk about how important it is that there is a seat at the table, there's a voice at the table that understands our viewpoint on issues. Because if there's no seat and no voice at the table, some people are not bad people, they just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never had anyone tell them.
Yeah.
And so we need to be at the table so we can share with them what the real deal is, as we say, as it relates to Black women and Black people and the Black experience in this state.
Absolutely. And I think that, not to bring it up, but redistricting has really encompassed, the reason why we need organizations such as this to really make sure that we still have representation in the state of Michigan. And through the Voter Rights Act, we're able to continue to make sure that women across the board get elected, but definitely make sure that it's a reflection of the state and reflection of our issues. I love what Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist said this past week in DC. He said, Black people are we are a very spiritual people, and we share ourselves with the world, and we are very giving of ourselves, is what he said. And when you think about the Black experience in America, when we succeed, everyone succeeds, because we are a giving people. We are not selfish in any form or fashion. And so if we are successful, everyone is successful, because we're coming from a pure place of wanting to support everyone. When
Absolutely.
we don't succeed, it is very noted. And so,
yes.
and I think that, that is something that really set with me this week, to know why this work is so important, to continue to grow the state of Michigan in a very healthy way, that everyone has a seat at the table and everyone can live, work, and play here and be successful. And I think that, not to get into political side, but I think that we are starting to see that reflected in the way we make decisions as well. But I just want to say, we have a great panel of women. We got a great moderator. We have the Honorable Sherry Gaydan-Yogo, who is one of my colleagues when I first came into the legislature, who I worked with on education. She is a great moderator that we've selected this year, because she has not only run for office, but also has run for office at various levels, and also was a staffer on the council level at the city council in Detroit. And so I think her perspective on things is going to be really great to provide those questions to our panelists and be able to pull information based off of her own experience that she has worked at city council level, ran for state office as a representative, also ran at the federal level, and also worked at the school board. So she has a lot of personal experience that will help to cultivate those questions that I think really will help others to kind of really get a good perspective on how running for office or being behind the scenes is really how the different roles vary and how the challenges and opportunities vary for both roles that people are working in.
Absolutely. And one of the things I'd like to see us probably expand in the future is getting into high schools and middle schools and talking to young girls in those spaces about elected positions and what it takes to get to that stage, and talking to them about running for the student council president or running for the class president, something of that sort, so that they get a feel for what it's like to be in that kind of competition and to talk to people about what they're doing and what their ideas and thoughts are. And so at some point, I think we are going to plan to get into high schools, to have these Black women come and talk to these young Black girls and girls of color about being elected, and have them ask questions, because I don't know how often they get a chance to do that. And we'll talk later about how we do that. And that just came to me earlier today. I said, we need to do that. We need to start growing our own farm team, as they say in the baseball language. We need to start growing our own young ladies to get into positions of authority and into positions of that they can say, yes, I'm elected. I want to be elected. And I thought about it, and I saw somebody come to my class when I was in the 8th or 9th or 10th grade, which inspired me to want to be an elected official. So we'll talk about that, but that's something that I think would be very helpful as we grow our farm team. We've got to have a bench, as they say. We've got to have folks coming up. so as we get into our later years, there's some folks coming behind us that can continue to carry this on. And so I think we need to put together something that will help us do that.
And I agree 110%. Just coming from the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation events in DC, and some of the work that they do with raising money to get interns in their office from across the country, I think to myself, wow, I didn't hear about CBC until I became elected to office, and how that would have propelled me to a different standard if I had known about them when I ran for student government at Eastern Michigan University. So I do believe what you're saying is so true. We have to start working with our young women in high schools to make sure that they're ready to take on the world, as we say, and change it and make it what it should be. And I definitely believe that we do have an opportunity to do that. And, one of the things I will say is that a lot of, civics is, lacking in the school systems, unfortunately.
Absolutely. They don't have a clue about what happens and how people get elected and what those people are supposed to do once they get there. And that's something else we need to work on, is to make sure we can get civics back in school and government classes. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Civics is so important. It is the fabric of our country, and what the founding fathers envisioned for our country. And so we have to make sure our kids want to learn that information. But I think it brings up a good point, is that, a lot of times our young people see, and especially young women, they see these history books and they see all white men. Or they see Dr. King, and they might see Rosa Parks, and they may see, others. But I think that, one of the things that we can do as elected women as well is show them that they can do this, and that what we see in history is probably just what they see in the classroom, and what they see in history is just a finite portion of all of the people who have impacted the fabric of our country and what we see today. And so I think that, sharing who those women are with them and teaching them about the different people in history who have impacted change and the suffragist movement and others who have impacted the changes that we see is very important at a younger age. Because you're learning in history, you're learning about, the forefathers and all these other people, but it's not relating to them. It doesn't relate to them. They're like, okay, I see this guy, but what about the women? What did the women do? Because I know some women had to do something, that it may not have been written by, but somebody wrote something that's related to women. Okay.
Exactly. So we know
yes.
that.
yes. And it might be some CRT. That's okay too.
That's okay.
Yes, but I definitely agree with you, Edna, wholeheartedly. I'm super excited to just see where we go from here. So, and I definitely think that a lot of us are really excited to help continue to shape and mold individuals to be public servants and be able to do this work and do it well.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really, really appreciate it. I think it was a conversation we needed to have. We're going to have it again because you're going to come back after the luncheon. We're going to talk about the results of the luncheon and maybe get some of the ladies who were on the panel or who attended the luncheon to be on the show to give their impression of what they thought the luncheon was and how they felt about it. So I think we'll plan that to get some of the people who are going to be in the audience to come on the show and talk about what they think about the luncheon and what they would like to see happen in the future. I think that will be real critical for us in our planning stages as we talk about where we go next for our luncheon. Everyone, thank you, Sylvia Santana, for being on the show. I appreciate all of you for listening. This has been great. And as we end our show now every time with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King that says, "Not everyone can be famous, but everyone can be great, because greatness is determined by service. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love." Have a great week. We'll see you next Monday on the Community Bell Show. Thank you, Sylvia Santana.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit. You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.